All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to pass these out. I forgot to pass them out. Here comes Heather. There you go. Let's see. We'll just put her right here. Good morning, Heather. All right. All right, welcome to Bhakti Flow and Yin. We have some new people this morning, which is kind of exciting. And some of you might be wondering, what the heck is Bhakti? Bhakti yoga is known as the yoga of devotion. Bhakti means love. And one of the ways that we honor that in this class, actually two different ways. The first is we usually end with a loving kindness meditation. And we also sing some mantra. When I first started, we weren't really singing, but my courage has come up a little bit and we started singing a few weeks ago. But what we do with these two different kinds of meditation is to try to cultivate kindness, compassion, gratitude, and patience. And that kind of filters out into our daily lives and creates a better experience for us and for all of the people that we come into contact with. When we're in a better space, we tend to, maybe look at people a little differently when we pass them on the street, maybe smile at them instead of scowl or look down or whatever. And, that has a ripple effect. You smile at one person, maybe that person is more apt to smile at the next person he or she passes. So that's one of the ways that I like to kind of practice bhakti off the mat is just going about my day in a more positive way. So we've kind of been on a trajectory the past few weeks. 2 weeks ago, we used the mantra Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha to inspire transformation, to call upon the strength and energy of Ganesha, to help us remove obstacles that block our path to living our best lives. And then last week we learned Ganesha Sharanam, Sharanam Ganesha, which I kind of translated loosely as God helps those who help themselves. So I asked you, how are you getting in your own way right now? And how can you work to remove some of your own obstacles? So this week, our mantra is Om Mane Padme Hum. And with this one, I will ask you to share your wisdom and compassion with others so that you might be the remover of obstacles for someone else. So with that being said, we're going to start in a supported bridge pose. And all right, some approval there from Misty. Awesome. You can support your pelvis with a block or a bolster. And if I had had my wits about me, I would have grabbed one of those or the other. But basically, you'll just come down onto your back with your knees bent, your feet planted on the mat, and you can lift your hips and then you'll just slide something under there to support it, either a block or a bolster. If you're using a bolster, it's going to be nice and supportive and kind of restorative. And you can just place the bolster wherever it feels best for you. If you're using the bolster, you're going to put it across your mat this way, not lengthwise. Although I guess you could do it either way. If you're using a block, you want the block to be just under your sacrum. Your sacrum is that kind of wide, flat bone at the bottom of your spine. It's where your spine sits down into your pelvis. So it shouldn't be on any of your vertebrae. It should be down on the sacrum. And when you position it just right, you should feel a little bit of traction in your low back between the sacrum and the lumbar vertebrae, and then maybe even up into the higher lumbar vertebrae. Should feel good. Good question. Which way should the block go? The block can go either way. If you have one of the blocks that are just squared off, you're probably going to want that block with the short end facing the long edge of your mat, if that makes sense. If you've got a curved block, you can turn it the other way so that it's in line with your mat, it's parallel with your mat. And that curve can kind of serve as just a gentle slope that allows that release in your low back. So if you're not sure whether you've got it right or not, let me know and I can help you out. Also, remember that your block has different levels. So for most people, the middle level is going to be just right, but some of you might want it lower or higher. So if you can't figure that out on your own, once again, I am here to help you. So just go ahead and let yourself settle in. Let your breath start to fall into a slow, steady rhythm. And if for some reason this position it doesn't feel good to you, it might even feel a little stressful or painful, or for whatever reason you don't like it, you can remove whatever support you have underneath you. Let your hips come back down to your mat and just place your feet out wide. Let your knees come together and rest in constructive rest pose. And you can do that at any point. So this mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, is said to encompass all of the Buddha's teachings. It's usually repeated over and over again, often using mala beads. And we use it to invoke the loving and unconditional qualities of compassion. I've mentioned before that mantras can be repeated out loud, or they can be repeated silently. This particular mantra, it's said that just looking at the mantra will bring about the same effects as chanting the mantra. So if you travel to Tibet or Nepal, you might see the mantra on signs, on prayer flags, prayer wheels, carved into stones. It's all over the place. So our mantra, like many mantras, begins with the sound Om. Om is believed to be the primordial sound of all creation. And it holds within it all that is, was, and ever will be. Chanting Om helps us dissolve our ego and cultivate kindness and generosity. The next word, mani, means jewel. The ma syllable is associated with dissolving jealousy and attachment to fleeting pleasures. The ni syllable is believed to dissolve our attachments to desire and passion while cultivating our ability to be patient with ourselves and others. Padme means lotus. The lotus flower is a symbol of wisdom. Pod is a syllable that dissolves our attachments to prejudices and judgmental notions while cultivating the quality of perseverance. When it comes to removing obstacles, perseverance is an important quality to have. The May symbol in Padme helps dissolve our attachments to being possessive, while also cultivating our powers of concentration. And with the final syllable, home, we work to dissolve our attachments to aggression and hatred. And we instead cultivate our own innate wisdom. So the entire mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, is often translated as the jewel is in the lotus. So the jewel of wisdom is in the lotus, which represents compassion. So wisdom comes from compassion. And that's not often how it's perceived in our society. Sometimes we perceive compassion as a form of weakness. But it in fact can be a source of wisdom. Go ahead and press your feet into the mat, lift your hips off of whatever is supporting it, slide that out from under you, and then let your hips come back down to the mat. Set your feet out wide to the edges of your mat and let your knees come together for a moment. This is constructive rest pose. Keeping your feet out wide like this, let both your knees fall over to the right. So your left knee will fall somewhere close to the sole of your right foot, maybe. And you can kind of adjust the angle of your legs to find a stretch that feels good for you. If you want to find a stretch in your left quadricep, the front of your left thigh, you can toe heel your left foot more towards the left and line up your left knee with your left hip, and then let that knee fall closer to the mat. Sometimes it feels good to set the arms out wide at a T, but if you'd rather just keep your hands resting on your belly, that's fine too. So just relax here. Remember, in our yin poses, we want to let the muscles release and just let gravity do the work. So in nature, the lotus flower rises up through the mud and muck at the bottom of a pond, and it blooms into a beautiful flower. Using that imagery, you might say that the meaning behind this mantra is that the lotus exists within all of us, but sometimes it just gets covered up by some mud and some muck. We can use restful poses like this to just let that lotus start to rise up through the mud, through the muck, through the water, and let it bloom. Go ahead and let your knees come back through center. You might have to realign your feet, and then let the knees fall to the left. And once again, you can adjust that right foot or right knee so that you find a stretch that feels good to you. while you're here, consider how you might become the remover of obstacles for someone else. That might start with just calling to mind someone that you care about who could use a little assistance. But we also need to use our wisdom here. Sometimes the people that we care about aren't ready to receive our assistance. So this calls to mind for me, serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Go ahead and let your knees come back up. You can toe heel your feet closer together. And maybe take a moment to draw your knees in towards your chest. You can place your hands on your shins or on your knees, maybe move a little side to side or make some circles. Then when you're ready, just make your way up into a seated position however you like. You can roll to one side or you can rock back and forth a few times. And sit up nice and tall. Bring your hands to heart center. Are you ready to sing a mantra? So you've been listening to this for a while, and we're just going to try our best to sync up. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Last one. Om Mani Padme Hum. Notice any sensations. maybe in the spine or the head or the face. And then when you feel ready, make your way into tabletop. In your tabletop position, you can move through some cat-cows. Inhaling as you drop your belly, open your chest and tilt your chin up. And then exhaling as you round your spine, tuck your chin to your chest. You can move around at your own pace. You can include any additional movements that feel good to you. Maybe just leaning back into child's pose or swaying the hips side to side or just kind of making some circles, letting the chest drop toward the mat and then pushing the back up towards the ceiling in kind of a circular motion. From here, walk your hands just maybe one hand's distance in front. So not way out like you would for puppy pose, but somewhere in the middle. And then bring your shoulders over your wrists and lower yourself down onto the mat. On an inhale, come to a baby cobra. Just lift your head and your shoulders and draw your shoulders back. Exhale, release to the mat. On your inhale, come up into tabletop. And then as you exhale, press back into child's pose. Inhale, back up into tabletop. We're going to repeat that sequence a few more times. So exhale down. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale to the mat. Just trying to make it one fluid movement. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale and release. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, child's pose. One more time. Inhale, hands and knees. Exhale down. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands and knees. And exhale, child's pose. Inhale, hands and knees. And this time, take a moment to align, shoulders over wrists, knees under hip joints. And then tuck your toes under and lift your hips to downward dog. Take a few moments here to loosen up. You can make any movements you like, but I would encourage you to move slowly and mindfully. You can focus on sensations in the backs of the legs. Releasing the shoulders. Extending the spine. Inhale up onto your toes. And then exhale, let your heels come down towards the mat. Inhale up onto your toes, bend your knees and walk to the top of your mat. Come to an easy forward fold, keeping a little bend in your knees. You can let the spine round, release the muscles on the back of your neck. And let your head hang heavy. If you're having trouble doing that, you might try nodding a couple times. Or maybe moving your head side to side. And then on an inhale, come to a halfway lift. Lengthen and flatten your back. Exhale, soften your knees, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift again. Exhale and fold. This time on your inhale, rise all the way up. Slowly sweeping the arms overhead. Exhale, soften your knees, forward fold. Inhale one more time, rise up. Exhale and fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands and step back to plank. We'll take this first chaturanga in a modified way by lowering the knees and the tops of the feet and exhaling all the way down. We've already done a few baby cobras, so let's come up into full cobra on an inhale. Move your shoulders away from your ears. Maybe take a breath or two here. And then exhale slowly back down. Press up onto your hands and knees. Tuck your toes under and lift your hips to downward dog. We'll take a couple of breaths here. Try moving the weight in your hands more towards your fingertips than the heels of your hands. And just let that energy travel up through the arms. See if you can release your shoulders just a tiny bit more. And then inhale up onto your toes, bend your knees, step or walk to the top of your mat and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step back to plank. Exhale, full or modified chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. And then on your exhale, make your way back to downward dog, either by rolling through tabletop or by lifting the hips up and back. Just make sure you're not compromising the low back. That should feel strong and stable. Inhale, up onto your toes, bend your knees, step or walk to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step back to plank. Exhale, full or modified chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, down dog. Couple breaths here again. You might focus on lengthening in both directions, from the crown of the head to the hips, and from the hips to the heels. Inhale, up onto the toes, bend the knees, step or walk to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise up, bring your palms overhead, let them touch, and then exhale them down to your heart. Take a moment to consider how you can become the remover of obstacles for someone else. On your next inhale, sweep your arms overhead. And then exhale, sink your hips into chair pose. Take a couple breaths here. On your next exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to plank. Exhale, full or modified chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale to down dog. On your inhale, float your left leg up into three-legged dog. Let's take a couple of breaths here. So don't be too concerned with how high that left leg goes. Be more interested in the sensations on the back of the right leg. Keep those gentle. Don't try to force anything or go to your maximum. On your next inhale, rise up onto the ball of your right foot. As you exhale, step or sweep your left leg through, plant your foot between your hand, set up your back foot for warrior one. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back to plank. You can take a vinyasa here, or you can go right to downward dog. If you're taking your vinyasa, exhale down to the mat. Inhale, upward dog or cobra, and exhale to down dog. On an inhale, float the right leg up. Breath or two here. On your next inhale, rise up onto the ball of the left foot. Exhale as you step or sweep your right leg through. Set up for warrior one. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back to plank. Take a vinyasa or go to down dog. Inhale, rise up onto your toes, bend the knees, step or walk to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale to chair pose. Sink the hips, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to plank. Exhale, full or modified chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, float the left leg up. Exhale, step or sweep it through, set up for warrior one. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step back to plank. Take your vinyasa or go to down dog. On your next inhale, float your right leg up. Exhale, step or sweep it through, set up for warrior one. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step the right foot back to plank. Take a vinyasa or go to down dog. Inhale, rise up onto the toes, bend the knees, step or walk to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Soften your knees, toe heel your feet apart. So they're at least hips distance, if not more. And then slide your palms under your feet. Palms facing the soles of your feet. On an exhale, just soften, relax into the pose. Release the muscles on the back of your neck. Notice your palms making contact with the soles of your feet. And then if you like, flip your palms over. So the palms face the mat and your toes are kind of in the creases of your wrists. In this pose, you can remain rounded in that forward fold, or you can try kind of coming into a halfway lift, maybe straightening the arms, straightening the legs, flattening the back. And then exhaling, bending the knees, bending the elbows, relaxing the neck. You can find an interesting stretch on the inside of your forearm here. And then release your hands, soften your knees, and inhale as you rise up to extended mountain. Bring your palms together and exhale them down to your heart. Take a breath or two here. Release your arms to your sides. Take a big step back with your right foot and come into warrior two. Good. Couple of breaths here. Again, just noticing the sensations on the bottoms of your feet. Turn your left palm over, inhale and reverse your warrior. And if you can, take a couple breaths here. Might be a little easier if you think about extending your spine, kind of lifting up out of your low back. Exhale back to warrior two, straighten your left leg. Shift your hips back, reach forward and tilt the torso to triangle. Press down into all four corners of each foot and let that energy rise up through your legs so that you find some stability. Inhale, rise up. Exhale back to warrior two. Nice deep inhale here. And then exhale to side angle, whatever variation you like. So forearm on the top of the thighs or reaching down for the mat or a block. You can reach that right arm overhead for extended side angle. On your next exhale, we're going to come into a runner's lunge. So bring your right hand down and kind of frame your foot with your hands. And then you're going to pivot that back foot so the toes point toward the top of your mat again. And then lower your right knee on the top of your right foot. Lean into a low lunge. You can stay right here. You can place blocks under your hands if you want to or need to. This is option one. Option two, you can kind of bring your right hand off to the side, bring your left hand to your left knee, and then open up into a twist. Option three is to bend your back knee so your foot comes up, and then maybe reach back and take a hold of it. Open your chest a little more. Maybe tilt your chin up. You have a hold of your foot, release it. And let's bring both hands back down to the mat, reorienting our hips so they're pointing toward the top of our mat. On your exhale, shift your hips back, straighten your left leg, and fold over it. On your inhale, start to come forward again, but stack your left knee over your left ankle. Tuck your back toe under, lift your back knee, set your hands out in front of you, and then lift your back leg into a supported warrior three. You can place blocks under your hands if you need a little more height. If you want to go a little bit further, you can start to drop into a standing split. So maybe letting the crown of the head face the floor, maybe lifting that right leg a little higher. And then if you'd like to incorporate a side stretch, take your right hand out in front of your right foot so that you end up in a little bit of a twist and a side stretch. You can kind of play around with the angle of your leg. Just find a position that feels good to you. And then on your exhale, we'll start to bend both knees and come down onto the mat with our right heel by our left hip, left ankle over the right knee, sit up nice and tall. Good. Slowly twist to the left. You can set your left hand behind you for support. That right arm can wrap around the left leg, or you can bring it to the outside. We'll take a few breaths here. You can refine this pose by lengthening the spine on your inhales. And then with your exhales, spiraling the spine a little bit more. And slowly start to unwind and twist in the other direction. Bring your right hand behind you. And you can kind of roll up onto your right hip. I can find a stretch on the right side of my torso that feels pretty good. And then let yourself come back to center. Unwind your legs. And come into boat pose, whatever variation you like. So you can stay here with your feet on the mat and lean back. You can also lift your feet. You could straighten the legs, maybe support the legs with your hands, or just reach them out. If your feet are up, go ahead and set them down on the mat and then lie back. Set your feet under your knees. On your inhale, lift your hips into bridge pose. If you want, you can interlace your fingers underneath you and kind of tuck your shoulder blades up under your heart. Slowly make your way out of your bridge pose, lowering your hips to the mat. Lift your feet, bring your knees in towards your chest. Maybe rock side to side a couple of times. And then when you feel ready, we're going to rock back and forth and maybe attempt to come up to a standing position without using our arms. And we can do that 3 times. After your 3rd time, take a moment in mountain pose. And then when you're ready, step your left foot back and set up your warrior 2. So you might peek down and see where your right heel is in relation to your left foot. Usually heel to arch is a good alignment. But if yours is a little different, that's fine, whatever makes you feel stable. You can turn your right palm over, inhale and reverse your warrior. And take a couple breaths here. If reverse warrior isn't comfortable for you, feel free to go back to warrior 2. And then we'll all come back to warrior 2. Straighten the right leg. Reach out, tilt the torso, and come into triangle. A few breaths here. Maybe think about lengthening from the crown of the head to the tailbone. Opening up as much space as you can in the body. On an inhale, rise up. Exhale back to warrior 2. Take a nice deep inhale. And then exhale to side angle, whatever variation you took on the other side. Slow, steady breath. As you exhale, make your way into a runner's lunge. And then lower your left knee and the top of your left foot. Lean in here, take a couple breaths. I'm going to turn around. If you took the twist on the other side, set your left hand down, bring your right hand to your right knee and slowly spiral. And if you took the quad stretch, bend your left knee and take your left foot into your right hand. If you're in the twist, slowly come back, face front. And start to shift back, straightening the right leg. Exhaling as you fold over it. On an inhale, start to come forward again, stack your right knee over your right ankle. Tuck your back toe under, lift your back knee, set your hands out in front of you. And when you're ready, on an inhale, lift your back leg into a supported warrior 3. You have the option of staying right here, or maybe making your way into a standing split. If you're in the standing split, maybe taking the option of reaching the left hand out in front of your left foot, kind of twisting and side bending at the same time, keeping it gentle. It should feel good. It should feel like you're opening up some space. Maybe letting go of some stagnant energy. And then when you feel ready, bending both knees, slowly lowering down onto the mat. Left heel by the right hip. Inhale, sitting up nice and tall. And then when you feel ready, twisting to the right hand behind you for support. Inhale, opening the chest, lengthening the spine, wrapping the left arm around the left leg or bringing it to the outside. Maybe turning to look over the right shoulder. And then continuing to refine the pose with your inhales and exhales. On an exhale, slowly start to unwind and twist in the other direction. And then turn to face front. Unwind your legs. Lower back down onto your mat. You can take bridge pose again. Or if you'd like to practice a deeper back bend, sometimes called wheel, you can flip your hands around behind your shoulders. And then inhale as you press up. As you exhale, slowly come down. Extend both your legs into the air and maybe lift your hips. Slide your hands underneath them to give them something to rest on. And just take a few breaths here. Kind of like legs up the wall, but in the middle of the room. You can stay right here, or if you'd like to practice one more core strengthener, bring your hands out from under your hips. Keep your legs extended into the air. Reach your arms out, so fingertips pointed toward the end of your mat. Lift your head and your shoulders, and then very slowly start to lower your legs. Some of you might be able to come to a 45-degree angle. Some might be less. But when you feel yourself starting to shake a little, that's probably where you need to be. But you should also be able to maintain a slow, steady breath. When you've had enough, draw your knees in towards your chest, lower your head and your shoulders. Set your feet back down on the mat, and then bring the soles of the feet together. Let your knees drop open into reclined cobbler's pose. And then consider reaching your arms overhead, so we're kind of stretching out those abdominal muscles. If you like, you can bend your elbows, let your hands come to opposite elbows. Let everything soften. So if you're perfectly happy here in this pose, feel free to stay here. If you're ready to try something different, let your arms come back down to your sides, bring your knees closer together. Feet planted on the mat, cross your left ankle over your right knee and open that left hip, maybe by gently pressing on the left thigh with your left palm. You can stay right here, or you can pick up your right foot and interlace your fingers behind your right thigh or in front of your right shin. Make sure your neck and your shoulders are relaxed. Your head should be down on the mat. You can adjust the intensity of this pose by bringing your right knee closer to your chest or letting it move farther away. You can also try leaning more to one side or the other and just notice how that feels. If you have a hold of your right leg, start to release it. Let the right foot come down to the mat and then extend your left leg up into the air. Bend your left knee, let your left foot come to the mat. And then cross your right ankle over your left knee. Take a moment here to let that right hip open gently. And then if and when you feel ready, you can pick up your left foot and start to draw the left knee closer to your chest. While you're here, you can note sensations in the body, or you can note your mental activity. Notice what your mind is doing. You can also note any emotions that might come up. When you feel ready, you can release your left leg, let the left foot come to the mat and extend your right leg into the air. Bend your left knee, right knee, set the right foot on the mat. And then maybe consider one more pose of your choice. Maybe a happy baby or an inversion of some sort. Just taking any movements that might help you settle into Shavasana. I think it's worth pointing out that meditation preceded asana, asana being the poses, the flowing practice that we just did. The whole point of the physical practice is to strengthen the body and the mind for deeper states of meditation. When you feel ready, make your way into Shavasana. And while there's not much strength needed to rest in Shavasana, although for some of you it requires extreme mental strength to do so, the only asana for the longest time was just seated for meditation. But today we're going to meditate in Shavasana, so I want you to get as comfortable as you can be. Make sure you're not too warm, not too cool. And that the body is as comfortable as it can be. And today we're practicing a type of loving kindness meditation called giving and taking. In Tibetan, it's known as Tonglen. It's a very powerful form of meditation that incorporates the symbols of wisdom and compassion. We start by visualizing a single person that we would like to better understand and help. When that person comes to mind, imagine the two of you sitting together in a safe place. Then make your best attempt to see things from the other person's perspective. Put yourself completely in their position. As vividly as you can, imagine what it must be like to see with their eyes, their brain, their body, their memories, their lifetime of experiences, including traumas or obstacles, their fears, their stresses, and let all of that soak in for a few minutes. Once you've done your best to see things from the other person's point of view, visualize the inside of your body from head to toe as being completely empty of all inherent qualities. And imagine that you are a lotus flower, symbol of immeasurable compassion. In the center of this lotus, imagine a perfect diamond, a symbol of flawless wisdom. Visualize yourself as this perfect marriage of compassion and wisdom. The diamond shimmering within the fragrant lotus. And now, as this diamond lotus, visualize the pain, suffering, negative emotions, and tendencies for future suffering of the person that you've chosen. And imagine all of that as a cloud of black smoke trapped within their body. Imagine how much better off they would be if they didn't have this burden. And then decide that you, as the lotus, will help them become free of this burden. You will help them overcome their obstacles, even if that means that you will take it entirely upon yourself as your own. As you take a long, deep inhale, visualize all of the black smoke leaving their body and going into the lotus and the diamond. And the instant that the smoke makes contact with the diamond, it's transformed into harmless light, light that can harm neither you or the other person anymore. As you exhale, surround this person with the warm light of compassion, generosity, kindness, patience, joy, tranquility, and wisdom. Vividly imagine them flourishing as they embody all of these qualities. And then come back to yourself. Let go of the visualization and rest for a few minutes in stillness. Let your attention come back to your body. And maybe make some small movements gently with the fingers and toes, or turning the head side to side. And then when you feel ready, take a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, roll to your right side. And slowly and gently make your way into a seated position. Bring your hands to heart center. Let your chin lower towards your chest. So if you had trouble visualizing yourself as a lotus with a diamond, it's pretty normal. With practice, it becomes easier. And when we use our imagination in this way, it can change the way we experience ourselves. And it has some beneficial effects on our health and our wellness over time. As adults, we tend to use our imagination less and less, but your meditation can be an opportunity to exercise that muscle. As you move about your day today and maybe even into your week, perhaps look for opportunities to use your wisdom and your compassion to help others overcome obstacles. Doing so in a way that empowers them. That's where the wisdom comes in. Take a nice deep inhale and a long, slow exhale. Thank you all for practicing with me today. Enjoy your day. Have a wonderful weekend. Namaste. You guys did a great job singing today. You've been practicing? No?
Thanks. Good weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks, Angela.
Thank you.